Hi there. In this video, we'll be covering how do you self-publish a book. You could self-publish a book right now. You could go online, upload, and there it is. But this is about doing it right, not doing it fast. If you found this video, you're asking a good question, and I want you to do this the right way. By the end of this video, you will learn the importance of planning your book, some writing tips that have helped me complete 40 manuscripts, and the importance of a long runway when you publish your book. And stay tuned until the end of the video for an opportunity I really think you're going to enjoy. Let's dive in. So you want to write a book. That's awesome. I think it's great that you want to write a book, that you want to share your message, that you want to send it out in the world. You want to connect with the reader in some capacity. Somebody's going to benefit from reading your book. It's incredible to come to that step and come to that opportunity, you know? Whatever it is, whether it's business, whether it's life, whether it's family, there's so many things that can unlock when you write a book. There's a sense of contentment. There's opportunities career-wise. There's inner greatness that you can achieve. There's so many things that can happen when you finally finish your book. But I want you to think about this for a second. It's not about rushing. It really isn't. It's not about just churning something out and putting it online. I've seen it happen. That's not going to help you feel content. Feeling content is about knowing that you did the best you could, that you put out this awesome story, you spent the time to get it right, and you gave it your best. This is what this is about. I don't want you to think about rushing and just cranking it out. If you want to do that, this isn't the right video for you. Find a different video just about uploading your video. I want to help you upload your best manuscript and be able to share it with the world. That effort starts with planning. Planning is so important. Think about a trip when you go on a vacation somewhere. You know, even when you are just kind of meandering and walking around and seeing what you're going to find, there's still planning involved. How do you get to where you're going to go? You take a plane? Do you drive? What route are you going to take? There's some planning. Even if there's little planning, there's some planning. What are you going to take along with you? You know, how long are you going to stay? There's all these elements that come into play when you're planning this big thing. So planning matters. If you don't plan at all, you're going to find yourself in trouble. You're going to find yourself stuck in corners. You're going to find yourself, you know, wasting time on things that don't really matter. So when I talk about planning, what I mean is figuring out why. What's your purpose for writing this book? You know, what's the inner thing that's driving you? You know, figure out what that is. Dig deep and figure out, because this is a big undertaking. You want to know what's motivating you. You want to know that there's something on the opposite side of this. Whether it is contentment, whether it is business opportunities, speaking engagements, ability to grow as a thought leader, you know, just to say you've done it. Whatever the case may be, understand what it is that you want to accomplish from your book. And then when you do that, how does your book stand apart from every other book out there? What makes your book unique? What makes your book different? You want your book to be different, because if it's not different, no one's going to want to read it. It's just going to sit there. It's going to sit online. No one's going to click on it. It's going to, a year from now, have 0 stars, 0 ratings, or one, you know, from a relative. Oh, great book. I loved it. No one cares. If you are really just rushing it out to rush it out, it's not going to have the impact you want it to. And when I talk about personal experience, I truly mean it. I've worked on books where the authors had a message that mattered and that resonated and it was timely, and they said, I just want to rush this out. And they missed the window. They missed the opportunity that was right there. Their book could have gone super viral. It could have been a bestseller. It could have transformed their life. They said, no thanks, I just want to put this online as an imperfect thing. And obviously, there's no book that's really perfect, but at the same time, you know when you've done the work. You know when you're in the place, in the space, you know, when you put the message out that's going to resonate for people. And focusing on this impulsiveness, it's going to keep you from accomplishing your ultimate goals. You know, the books I've worked on that the author rushed, they didn't have good outcomes. They just kind of sat there. They didn't really do anything. You don't want a book that's going to just not do anything. You know, you want a book that's going to have an impact. That planning process also includes elements that are going to help you make progress with the writing. When I think about foundation work, for example, I think about hook, audience, and outline. You know, what is the message of your book, and how's the reader going to carry forward with their lives, with this knowledge in their mind? You know, how's it going to change somebody's life in a sentence? for audience. Who is this book for? You want to be able to connect it to the people who need to read this book. Outline what's the best way to structure the book. If you can do those three things, you're going to be well on your way to building momentum during the writing process. And the writing process is really the next step. What does the writing process look like for you? You could be somebody who tells stories conversationally. If you are, I would record yourself on audio. I would use voice-to-text transcription and turn your stories into chapters. It's an incredible thing. It's helped me write quickly, write authoritatively, in the voice of the author. It's amazing. I love it. You could be somebody who loves sitting at the keyboard and typing. Also great. You could be somebody who goes to the coffee shop and writes in a notebook and then types it up later. Great. Whatever the case may be, it's all about making some writing progress. It's all about finding your own path, and it's making the most of it. And if you can build momentum and you can find the habit, a path that works for you, you can get this draft done. You can cut through the insecurities, the doubts, and the fears and keep going forward and keep making progress in finishing your draft. The next step I want you to think about is editing. Editing is super critical. It's where everything comes into focus. The reader takeaway, the message, what your story has to say, the effort that you put into the writing process. And it's interesting because I work as an editor as well as a ghostwriter and a coach. So I work in all these different capacities for people. And a lot of times when people want to charge forward, they just want to speed ahead, that's where they hit trouble. That's where they start to have doubts. Editing is really focused on three different levels of editing. There's developmental or content editing, that's the 30,000-foot view. And that's really story focused and flow focused. And then there's copy editing. Copy editing is the next step. And that's really focused on the style, the word choice, paragraph and sentence level. And then proofreading is that third level. That's, kind of the catch-all. What did we miss? Is there anything that's missing here? Working through those three levels of editing can help make the manuscript as strong as possible. And a lot of times, if you've tried to speed ahead during the other processes, the planning or the writing, this is where those issues really come into play. I think about somebody I was working with pretty recently, and I was working as an editor on their book, and I offered all these different suggestions of, hey, here's a missed opportunity. Maybe there's a chance to add something here. What about this? And those suggestions went unused, unrecognized. So when the manuscript went to the next level of editing, to copy editing, some of the same problems reemerged, because they hadn't done the work to make the draft as strong as possible. And you try to help people along as much as you can, but at a certain point, the author is going to make decisions for themselves. I get it, and it's not like as an editor, people need to, agree to every single thing I suggest. I don't think that at all. I think it's a good give and take in a conversation. A lot of times, if you're an author and you work with an editor, you want to think in the mindset of what the editor was thinking. Why did they suggest what they did? Maybe there's a way to make this work. Maybe there's a middle ground where you do a little bit of what they suggested, but then save some stuff that really matters to you. Because ultimately, this is your book. This isn't just about saying yes, blanket yes, to agree to whatever the editor suggests. It's about putting that editor cap on and thinking about the book from the reader vantage point. What's the reader journey going to feel like for the reader? Because that's what the editor's doing. They're trying to think about what the reader's going to think from reading the book. And this is kind of good feedback. It's good to work through that process. It's good not to rush the editing. It's good to take the time to get it right. A lot of times when drafts are sped through and, ultimately the outcome isn't what the author wanted, it's because they rushed through editing. Editing is going to catch all the things that you don't want in your Amazon reviews of this book was full of grammatical errors, this book was inaccurate, this book wasn't, as strong as I wanted it to be. It had a sagging middle. Those things are going to come out in the editing process. That's why it's so important to pay attention to them. The next step is designing. How do you want the book to look? How do you want it to be laid out? Yes, you can do designing yourself, or you can find a friend who does these things. It's also great to work with a professional designer, especially for the cover. You want the cover to pop and to stand out. Your cover is your first best chance to get somebody excited to read your book. And you want it to convey the message that the book carries. You want it to connect and you want it to click. You want it to be simple. You want it to be clear for the reader that they're going to understand from the cover and from the title and the subtitle what this book is all about and why they need to read it. That's why all this work that you put into it, the planning, the writing, the editing, All this kind of filters through in these later steps, because this is the vision and the effort realized. You know, if you've done all this work and made a great draft, it's going to come through in the cover, it's going to come through in the editing, it's going to come through in all those steps. These are really good steps to kind of gauge, okay, how successful has this been? Is this ready to proceed? You want it to be ready to proceed. The next step is the publishing. You know, you have to upload it, get it approved, get it ready to publish, and there's steps. And with that, you have to figure out where you want it to appear, the distribution model. You know, if you want it to appear in bookstores, for example, you might want to work with Ingram Spark, or you want to work with Kindle. You know, you have to make these decisions for yourself and do the research and figure out where your book is going to appear, at what price point, and all these different things. It's exciting to be able to play that game and understand, you know, the decisions you're making and how they're going to play out. It's good to do research too, market research, book research, and figure out what's going to give you the outcome you want. You know, if you want to, for example, attract high value, high opportunity clients, you might set the price point higher for the book. You might set the price point of $28. If you want to get tons of volume and help to, you know, focus on volume as a volume play, you're going to reduce the cost. You're going to want to get the book to as many people as you can. You know, maybe it's a giveaway. Maybe it's something that you sell on your website. You get to choose, which is super exciting. The next step is promotion. Your book is live. Your book is published. You want people to know about it. You want people to care about it. Promotion's so important because it's the realization of all of these other things. If you've done the audience work, you know where to promote your book, you know? If you understand where your audience is located in the books that they're interested in, if you've done the planning work, all that's going to come through, you know, and once you've done all that research and effort, it's going to bear itself out. You know, when people start reading the book, they're going to want to share it. They're going to want to tell other people about it. You know, doing all this work, you know, social media, promotional side, getting the message out there, this is a long-term thing. A lot of times when a book comes out, you know, it's this short-term window of let's promote it for a couple weeks, then it's on to the next thing. No, like this should be a long-term asset for you. This should be an opportunity that you can promote for years and years and years. That this is something that's a part of you. This book is a part of you, and it's something that you're proud of. You know, it's not something that you just publish and just forget about. It's something that carries forward for years to come. It's super exciting when you can do that, and you have the opportunity, if you've done all of the work and all these other steps, to be successful on the promotion side too, and to have a long runway of success for this book, because for years to come, it could be a marketing asset. For years to come, it could be something you're proud to hand to people. For years to come, it's something that you're going to do interviews about. You're the expert in this space, you're the go-to person, and your message resonates because it's different than everything else that's out there. That's the beauty and the power of self-publishing, and you have the opportunity to do that yourself. If you want to learn more about how to self-publish a book, there's another video I think you should check out. I'll link to it on the screen. It's called I Need Help to Write My Book. You know, a lot of times with self-publishing, we have all these goals and expectations, you know, but actually getting the writing is so tough. And that's why I recorded this other video to talk about ghostwriting, writing coaching, and other services that could be of use for you if you're hitting a wall or you're struggling. Remember, a good book can change your life. I'm Dan Good. Thanks for watching.